right. Thank you. So I'll pick it up, Meg. Thank you so much for that introduction. And it's great to be here back at Power to Fly and be here at the Diversity Reboot Summit. We are focusing on, as Meg mentioned, diversifying the Relauncher talent pool. I'm Carol Fishman Cohen, the CEO of iRelaunch, and I'm here together with Janet Peterson, who you just heard introduced in great detail. So I'm going to skip that piece of it, and we're delighted to be here. We're going to talk about diversifying the pool of professionals who are on career break and are looking to return to work. That's what we call the Relauncher talent pool. And we focus on people who have taken career breaks from 1 to over 20 years for a whole range of reasons that have nothing to do with their work performance. And that could be elder care, child care, a health issue, relocation, time service in the military or military spouse, maybe an expat experience with a spouse or partner who had an overseas assignment, or someone who is unretiring. So those are examples of a range of reasons why people might take their career breaks. We at iRelaunch have been in this field almost 20 years. We've had a key role in shaping and leading the field to where it's at now. And we work with employers to create programs to bring thousands of mid-career professionals back to work after taking career breaks. And we support a community of about 125,000 relaunchers. So we realized over 3 years ago that we are a dominant source of candidates for the employer career reentry programs. And we recognize that our pool of relaunchers had to be diverse in order to then be selected by employers and participate in employer return to work programs that would become more diverse. So we started intentionally focusing on diversifying our relauncher population, and we were looking to increase the number of underrepresented relaunchers in our community. So Janet Peterson was on our business development team at that time, and it was her idea to focus 100% of her time on this goal as our diversity lead. And I'm going to now hand this over to Janet, who's going to share details about her efforts and give us real examples of what has been working for us to increasingly diversify our pool. So Janet, over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Carol. I just want to make sure that everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. All right, give me 1 second. All right.
Maybe click. Yeah.
It's still thinking.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I do have the slides here. So.
Just maybe go ahead and use it in this format.
Okay.
All right.
All right. If it's okay, let me just try one more thing. I'm going to stop and then reshare. All right. That's what I wanted. Okay. Very good. Can everyone see this? Can you see this now, Carol?
Yes, but I think you need to set it up so we can see only the slides, not the presentation notes on the right.
Okay. All right, Power to Fly community, bear with me for just 1 second, please.
Maybe you should end the slideshow and then start it over again. That might be helpful.
Okay.
All right. So while Janet's doing that, I'm just going to talk a little bit more. What actually happened was we heard from one of our major clients that they wanted us to think about and focus on diversifying our relauncher population to include more underrepresented communities. And that conversation is what grew into ultimately Janet taking over this role. Janet, that looks great. Can you click on from the beginning and then to see if that'll take us right into the slides. Okay. I think you should just go to slide 1 and take it away. Just move it manually. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again for your patience, Power to Fly community. Again, my name is Janet Peterson, and I am the diversity lead at iRelaunch. And I think you heard a little bit about my story. I did take a 5.5-year career break, but I also wanted to mention that this role and the content of which I'm going to share this information is very near and dear to my heart because of the roles that I had previously. And quite honestly, this is my lived experience. Okay. So, so what I'd like to share is the first slide really shows an article and a blog that my colleagues and some of my strategic partners created. And the title of this is called Breaking Barriers and How Return to Work Programs Help Black Women After Career Breaks. So, you know, there are some alarming statistics and biases against women of color, particularly because of our hair or name biases on resumes and even salary gaps. So there are just really a plethora of other biases as well. And so being that that is the case, we really wanted to focus on eliminating these barriers for women of color in the workplace. So again, what I'd like to share are really ways that we can attract, support, and retain women of color. And I'm going to share with you my lived experiences and also the strategic targets that I identified that we have done to diversify our talent pool here at iRelaunch. So essentially what I did was I created categories for targets. And I'll start with the first one. And the first one is national moms groups. So we know that there are lots of women or moms that are looking to return to the workforce, and they may not even be aware of programs like returnship programs. So this is an opportunity to expose them to those opportunities that we offer at iRelaunch. Then there are also employer resource groups. And within these employer resource groups, and so these are typically in corporations, and it is really a great way for women of color to connect, to advance their leadership and their career development opportunities, and also with opportunities to increase sponsorship opportunities. So many of these groups are based on ethnicity. They're also based on gender identity. They're based on sexual identity, military affiliations, and we're beginning to see an uprise of forward-thinking employers that have actually launched a group called Menopausal Moms. So these are ERGs for mid to senior level women in the workforce. The next one would be faith-based organizations. So this would be like your churches and organizations like that, or ministries that have also formed employer groups, and many of them host job networking and career networking events within their churches. The next one is historical Black colleges and universities, and also Hispanic serving institutions. So with HBCUs and HSIs, typically the point of contact here would be for the alumni community, the director of Alumni Association, because perhaps the alumni of the school would then come back to their college or university to seek out resources. And then the last one are divine sororities and fraternities. So these are for Black Greek letter organizations. And what I want to call out for these organizations are that most of these organizations have a target of economic empowerment or financial sustainability. So here's a caliber of high caliber, or here's a group of high caliber members of these organizations that many people will be able to take advantage of, leveraging their network here, and also employers that are seeking to source from these communities. Give me just 1 second.
Hey, Janet, if you stop sharing for a minute, I'll share, and then you can just tell me when to change the slide.
Okay.
Can you see it?
I can. Thank you.
All right, hold on. Let me just hide these. All right, so let's do that. Okay.
And yes. Okay. If you'll go right back to that slide, Carol.
All right.
Yes. So I wanted to, again, this lived experience. And so I want to use myself as an example. So I am a member of a national moms group, MOCA Moms, and also Menopausal Moms. I did lead a ERG at Johnson & Johnson, the African American Leadership Council. And I'm a member of a predominantly Black church. Both my husband and I went to a HBCU, shout out to Central State University. And I'm also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And my husband is a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. And one thing that we do know is that men also relaunch too. Next slide. Okay, so next I'm going to share with you our strategic partners and some of the events that we have participated in. Next slide. So the first slide is an example of our partnership with MOCA Moms. And this relationship was established. It was actually our first partnership that was established. As you can see, this is Hue Kelch, and she is the national president of MOCA Moms. And Hue is also on our iRelaunch advisory board. So with this organization, we were able to partner with multiple employers that were able to showcase their returnship program. And it was really directed towards the MOCA Mom community. Now, all communities were welcome, but they really wanted to hone in and to specify sharing these opportunities with the MOCA Mom communities. Also, we hosted the Black Relaunchers Perspective. This particular example is part 2. We hosted part 1, and it was amazing. We got amazing results. And by the way, I was not working with the organization with iRelaunch at the time of part 1. I was in the audience. And when I saw this workshop and heard the women, it really touched my heart. And I knew that there was an intentionality on diversifying and acknowledging that there are cultural differences for relaunchers. So in this particular example, we not only had relaunchers that told their stories, and they really talked about both the wins and the challenges, but then we also had 2 employers from HR and from DEI that were able to answer the questions for the relaunchers that were in the audience. And then we also have our military connected relaunchers. We did a webinar series, and this is a major focus for our military connected relaunchers and the employers that are seeking this type of talent. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So this is a slide that illustrates an example of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And as you can see, there are close to 400,000 members that are part of this organization. There are also undergraduate members, but the majority of the members are mid to senior level, so that they would be the graduate level. And the sorority has chapters in multiple countries, not only in the US, but international as well. So here's a picture of actually one of our conferences that we had. So as you can see, it is very well attended. And the next slide, please. So iRelaunch was a 2-year sponsor for our Boulé or our leadership conferences. And as a result of that, we were also featured in the Ivy Leaf magazine. And this gave us the opportunity to publicize and to talk about our return to work conferences, in which we hold 2 each year. So the first one was in May, and then the second one being in October. And this generated a lot of traffic and a lot of members that were added to our talent pool. So it was very well received. Next slide. So another example is my involvement locally. It began locally with the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. And with this organization, I actually participated in an exhibit. And as a result of that, I was able to be in touch, and I was requested by multiple chapters of this organization to host iRelaunch or Relaunch 101 webinars within these chapters. And so, as you can see, there are quite a few chapters. There are over 3,000 members in this organization. Next slide. Followed by Jack and Jill of America. So with Jack and Jill, not only is this a quote unquote a mom's organization, but dads are also heavily engaged within this organization too. And with this particular event, this is actually myself and my daughter, who frequently attends these events with me. And we were at the Mother's Workday Conference for Jack and Jill. So again, an opportunity to speak directly to the mothers and to share our conference information and all of the resources that we have. And as you can see, close to 40,000 members are within this organization. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. And so another dynamic sorority is Delta Sigma Theta. Delta Sigma Theta has a very large population of over 350,000 members and over 1,000 chapters. Of course, they're also international as well. And iRelaunch was a sponsor at the scholarship gala here. So again, just another incredible way of connecting with women of color. And what I want to mention too about most sororities and fraternities, as I stated, you know, there are always targets for economic empowerment, but they're also hosting in-person and virtual career fairs as well. Okay, next slide. So this is an example of something that I participated in at the church that I attend here in Atlanta, Eagles Nest Church. And we were an exhibit at our Juneteenth festival. So this was an opportunity to talk to members and the community that came out and talking to them about relaunching and sharing resources that we had available. And then we were also featured in our directory, in our church directory. I also want to mention too that at churches, we have small groups. So we're also hosting job networking small groups at Eagles Nest as well. Next slide, please. And then the gathering spot. And it is exactly that. This is a brick and mortar. And I just wanted to illustrate another example of in a way of connecting community. And the premier location, or the first location, was established in Atlanta. And we have known this family, the Wilson family, that actually launched this concept. And it is just an amazing way of building community. All right, next slide. So now I want to share with you some free resources for all relaunchers, but in particular for underrepresented relaunchers. Next slide. So the first one is what we call our top 10 tips. This is extremely valuable. So everything that you want to know regarding relaunching your career is contained in our top 10 tips. And I'm going to just leave this on just for a second, Carol, so that people, if they want to copy the QR code to be able to get access to this. This is a very valuable document that we've created. And we've made some tweaks to it too, to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that women of color often see in relaunching their career. Okay. And by the way, we'll also have this available. I think it's a resource that we're going to share with the community. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So again, just more resources and more QR codes. So this one was designed that if you are looking to relaunch your career, then there are particular QR codes that we have that you can have access to. It gives you information about our Return to Work conference, or we have a Facebook forum, and we also have a podcast that's that we host as well. So, or if you're seeking to hire diverse talent, then again, there are specific QR codes that might be more beneficial for you regarding posting positions on our job board, or getting the latest resources or the greatest news that we have for our employers. Okay, and I was just gonna, yeah, okay, so we're fine. We can go into the next one. And so here's my call of action, or call to action for those of you that may be relaunching your career. I believe Carol mentioned earlier that this is our 35th Return to Work conference. And so this is our signature program that we offer. We have one coming up in May. It's actually going to be held May 14th through the 16th, and this is a virtual conference. So the first 2 days of this event are really significantly great information regarding relaunching your career. So it's all sorts of career coaches will be available to walk you through that process. And then on the third day, you'll have an opportunity to interview with our sponsors or with an employer. So we'll have a career fair on the third day. And registration closes on May the 12th. But for the Power to Fly community, we're offering a very special, unique QR code for you to register for this. The cost for this event will be $49. And this will also include another fabulous tool, which we call the roadmap. And this is something that I used when I was relaunching my career. And this was just extremely valuable for me. And I think you'll enjoy it as well. So we'll leave this one up just for a little bit, Carol, just so that people would be able to get access to the QR code for this. But I believe we're going to share these links for all of these resources for everyone.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Janet. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention before I talk to the audience about, or take Q&A?
No, that is it. And thank you so very much for the opportunity to share this information. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to just stop sharing now. And if there are any questions from the audience, please put them into chat. But while we're waiting for that, Janet, I wanted to know, well, first of all, thank you for sharing those very specific examples. At iRelaunch, we're really focused on action and specifics and examples. And so you've seen what Janet has been sharing are actual examples of the work that she's doing that have contributed to our community being increasingly diverse. Janet, can you talk about any success stories that we've seen that might be an illustration of a person from one of our Relauncher participants?
Yeah, I sure can. As a matter of fact, this person was just recently featured in our newsletter as the success story or the relauncher of the month. Her name is Chelsea, and Chelsea took a 12-year career break. Chelsea is the mom, and Chelsea was also a small business owner, and decided that she was ready to relaunch her career. I also want to note that Chelsea and I are both members of Mocha Mom, and she wrote, we did not ask her to do this, but she wrote in our Facebook forum how valuable the resources and the tools were that she gained, not only from the Mocha Moms webinars and events, but by attending the iRelaunch conference. So and what she was able to do, which was something really unique, she relaunched on her own. So not, directly going to an employer program. So she was able to utilize these very valuable skills and make it work for her, and came up with a very strategic approach to do that. So we're really excited about Miss Chelsea.
Yes. And if you go to iRelaunch.com, you can see the success stories that we have. But that's a great thing to underscore, is that, yes, we have plenty of employers and that have career reentry programs, and people are relaunching their careers through a more corporate route, but they also can start their own businesses or relaunch in the nonprofit community. And there's the success story there is an entrepreneurial relaunch. So we support our community members making these transitions back to work in all different ways. And Janet, thank you very much for highlighting that story, and especially as part of our Mocha Moms community. The Mocha Moms presentation that we did, that Janet first highlighted as the Black Relaunchers perspective, was an event that, as Janet mentioned, has run twice, and it was particularly impactful for relaunchers to talk about their experiences in the intersectionality of being Black and relaunching at the same time, and some very frank and very unique perspectives and conversations that were part of that event. So especially powerful. Janet, thank you so much. Anything else that you want to mention before we close out?
I think that's everything. Thank you so much. Power to Fly.
Thank you. And yes, thanks to Power to Fly. Meg, we're going to hand it back to you. We know that we're moving right into the next presentation.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you both for that amazing session. It was really, really great to sit in on, and I think a lot of people got a lot out of it. I also saw the links going through in the chat thread over there, so thank you so much for sending those out as well.
All right. Thanks, Meg. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.